Welcome to Sage Audio. Today we're looking at and listening to the top 10 free mixing plugins of 2022. But first, if you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. BYOD by Chow DSP. So first, in all honesty, these are some of the best and most imaginative free plugins that I've ever found. So be sure to stick around to the end of the video since I've put these in no particular order. So BYOD is a truly impressive guitar effects plugin, but it can also be used for synths or any instruments that you've recorded to create a unique or recognizable sound. So this thing literally has 43 free plugins in one. By right-clicking, you'll find a menu of the effects that you can choose from. So once we've selected one, we'll route the signal to and from it, meaning we can create processing in series or parallel if we use multiple processors. At the bottom, we can change the input-output wet-dry, as well as introduce oversampling and linear phase processing to the entire chain. We can even view the source code for the plugin, which is pretty amazing. So let's take a listen to the plugin and keep in mind that we're barely scratching the surface of what it can do. Tube Preamp by DDMF. Like BYOD, this next plugin completely surprised me. It's a tube amplification system, but the schematic and its values are the interface, meaning I can change the value of my resistors and capacitors to achieve an incredibly unique sound, all while learning more about circuit theory, which I didn't expect to happen today. Now up top, we can control the input and output gain and bypass the plugin. Let's take a listen and keep in mind how flexible this plugin can be, given how many variables we can affect. If you're enjoying the video, hit the like button. It helps us bring you more videos. Loads by Analog Obsession. Loads is a natural sounding de-esser with a fixed frequency. Since I can control the release time of the compressor, this makes this suitable as a high frequency compressor as well. I can switch between dipping the full signal or just attenuating the fixed band and introduce a soft knee. So let's take a listen to the plugin and notice how the release function can be used to really change the timbre of the compression. Analog Rack by Nembrini Audio. If you want a free but impressively realistic analog delay sound, Analog Rack is a great option. The interface is simple, you can affect the time of the delay in milliseconds or sync it to the BPM, as well as offset left and right delays, introduce feedback, and blend the signal. At the bottom, we can enable or disable analog distortion on the delay taps, as well as bypass the plugin. So let's listen and notice how it has a pleasant vintage sound. Only a small percentage of people that watch our videos are subscribed, so if you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Tilta by Analog Obsession. If some of these plugins seem too complex and you want something simple, Analog Obsession has made a great tilt EQ that works as you'd expect. You select the center frequency and then change the gain to either the high or low end, but with a natural analog emulated curve. We can also cut the lows and the highs with what looks like a 12 dB per octave slope. So let's take a listen and notice how this has more of a vintage sound than most tilt filters. Crush by Tritic. Back to more complex plugins, Crush lets you introduce overdrive distortion, bit depth distortion, and sample rate reduction distortion, as well as a filter. Now what's interesting is that we can also add synced modulation to each distortion or filter parameter with a sine, square, triangle wave, and whatever this one is. The plugin is also well designed with a resizing option in the bottom right and a detailed parameter freeze option. So let's listen and notice how combining these distortion types with modulation creates a really unique sound. The Expressor by The Z. Unlike most compressors in which you affect the ratio at the threshold, the Expressor lets you control both post and pre-threshold ratios, meaning you can expand the low level while compressing the high level and more. The color and the options make the dynamic processing even more flexible. So let's listen and notice how these inventive parameters give you a lot more control over your signal. If you're enjoying the channel, join the community with the link in the description. Chow Matrix by Chow DSP. So let me start off by saying that this is by far the most insane plugin I've ever seen, paid or free. Everything starts off pretty normal, you have 2 delay taps, and you can affect their length, their panning, feedback gain, and more, while introducing modulation to the time and panning. But then you realize that you can start branching delay taps off of other delay taps, ending up with an absurd matrix of nonsensical audio, which is pretty cool. Now on top of that, you can change the delay mode between 8 different settings, cycle between presets, and randomize the taps that you've created. So let's listen and notice how this plugin creates sounds that I'm not sure any other plugin out there can. Adverb by Audio Damage. Back to something a bit more normal, Adverb is a great recreation of vintage digital plate reverbs. It doesn't sound natural, but it's really not supposed to. Instead, it creates a truly digital sound, filled with artifacts and noticeable metallic delays, perfect for achieving an 80s, early 90s sound. We can affect the pre-delay, diffusion amount, reverb time, and contour, as well as the size of the emulated room. So let's take a listen and notice how this plugin is indicative of antiquated digital reverb processors. Initial Clipper by Initial Audio. I've covered this plugin before, but wanted to take a look at it one more time since it's a really well-designed clipper. We have an oscilloscope up top, and at the bottom are input gain, threshold for clipping, and the positive and negative saturation types, adding even and odd ordered harmonics respectively. To the right, we get an LUFS meter, which is perfect since a lot of clipping is used for genres in which creating a loud and upfront sound is important. So let's listen to the clipper and notice that it doesn't do anything too complex, but it has a great sound. If you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching.